One. One. And a 1, 2, 1, 2, 1. 1. 1, 2, 1. 1. 1. 1, 2, 1. Counter march, guard file left. March. 1. Company. Halt. Front. Forward. March. 1. Detail. Halt. Rest. Order. Arms. In place. Rest.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Gettysburg. The squad that you see in front of you represent members of the 20th Maine Company E, such as they were around this time, July 3rd of 1863. You've seen the sharpshooters do their thing. We're going to show you now how the infantry reacts. The uniforms, their weapons, and you'll actually hear these get discharged in a little bit. The soldiers in front of you are dressed in what we call light marching order. This is an optimum order of battle. You have a front rank and a rear rank. 4 partners make your file. So there's a term that you hear a lot during the Civil War. You still hear that term today. It's called rank and file. It's where it comes from. Soldier has everything he needs to go into battle. He's got, number 1 is uniform. He's got a cartridge box, 40 rounds of ammunition, a rifle. He's carrying a canteen, a haversack, which carries food, some personal items, extra ammunition, and canteen, and a bayonet. This is the optimum way for him to fight. Very, very maneuverable. Then they have a big backpack. Most of the time when they carried them, they would drop them before they went into battle. They want to be encumbered with the extra weight. The uniform that they're wearing is almost exactly like they wore then, other than the fact that they're reproductions. Kersey blue trousers, dark blue, what we call a sack coat or blouse. And yes, it's all wool. Wool is the optimum fiber of the time. It's the most durable that they have. Soldiers' time fighting, probably about 10%. It's a volunteer army. So just like the volunteer armies today, they had to train. It took a lot to get these guys to learn how to maneuver. Just seeing them march in a column of 2 and a column of 4, the maneuverings that they had to do. The soldier really only needed to know 2 things. Whether he was a number 1 man or a number 2 man. That told him where he needed to be in that line of battle. Unlike the sharpshooters, which were specialized, they had to pass a marksmanship test. They were given special ammunition because of that, or a special rifle. It was costly for the government to produce that. The weapons that they have here are of 2 major types. We had the British-made Enfield and the American-made Springfield. Okay, they look almost the same. They are a breech-loading muzzle loader, or not breech loader. I'm sorry, they're a muzzle loader, rifle musket. The optimum way for them to load that gun is standing up. Why? Because they have to pour the powder from the top of that barrel and get it down to the bottom. They can do it kneeling. If you're good enough, you can do it lying down too, but this is the optimum way for them to do that. You can see why casualties are also very high. The weapons are very similar. The Enfield was made in England. It was handmade, mass-produced. Master Armorer made the weapon. So although they look similar, they may not be. Because if you have a broken part, you need to repair it, and you find another Enfield, you still might have to do a little smithing on it to get the part to fit. The Springfield was made on the Americas plan. 1 pattern, no matter who made it, the weapons were all the same. The other big difference between that is that the British Enfield weighed about 12 to 13 pounds. The Springfield weighed about 10 to 11 pounds. Lighter rifle. So the soldiers preferred it. And also because it was mass-produced on machine, the tolerances weren't so tight. So they performed a little bit better. They weren't as finicky in the dirt and the grime that you see in the field. Soldiers, a lot of them were rural. They hunted, and to provide food because they were farmers or so, and they knew how to handle a gun, but they didn't know how to handle it precisely. The other thing is, when you're hunting, nobody's shooting back at you. So they had to learn how to do this all the time. So that's where the drill came in. They constantly drilled. They had to learn how to fire these weapons and load these weapons. It took a lot of different steps to do that. We're going to run through that. If you miss these steps, the gun doesn't fire, pure and simple. So what I'm going to do for you is to run you through that exercise. We'll dry fire it, and eventually the first sergeant will take them out in the field, and we're going to do this live. Attention, company. First command that's given is command load. And take the weapon and put it in front of them. It's a safety factor. As you fire these weapons, the guns get hot. You pour powder into a hot rifle, chances are you might get a cook-off. If it happens, the rifle will fall away from you. Take their hand and they put it on the cartridge box. Inside that cartridge box is 40 rounds of ammunition. It's sectioned. There's tins inside, 10 in each half, top and bottom. So it gives them their 40 rounds. Also has a little paper tail on it, so when they flip the lid up, they can feel it. Handle, cartridge. You take that cartridge and they bring it up to their teeth. Next command is tear cartridge. Okay, one of the stipulations you had to have in your medical exam when you were in the service was you had to have two opposing teeth, one upper, one lower. Soldiers said it was to bite the hardtack. It's actually so you can tear the cartridge. So, you youngins, if you don't want to get drafted or go into the service, what you do is you go outside, out back, and you go out into the woodshed, or you grab an axe or a rock or a big stick, and you knock your teeth out. When you stand in front of that medical examiner and he says, "Let me see that smile," have no teeth. The other optimum way to get out of the military or the army would be to cut your toe off. You know, your big toe, because then you can't march. But that doesn't exclude you from going into the Navy. Okay. Charge cartridge. What they do is, like I said, it's a muzzle loader. Take that powder, dump it in the barrel. They work out the ball, the conical bullet. Okay, it's coated with either beeswax or animal tallow fat as a lubricant. They push it on top of the rammer and seat it, or on the top of the muzzle, and they seat it. Draw a rammer. Again, you'll see safety. They hold that at a 45-degree angle, always away from that muzzle, just in case there is that cook-off. Charge cartridge. I have to take that ball and push it all the way down and make sure it's seated in the powder. If you look at the back of the ball, it's hollowed. And that what happens is it sits in the powder. When the gun explodes, it blows that back out. The back catches the rifling and sends it downrange. This next command is the most important command they will receive. Return rammer. If they do not, they can fire this weapon. Both the ball and the ramrod will go downrange once. He now has no effective way to load this weapon. The other difference, if you look at the weapons, there's the side of the ramrod. The Enfield ramrod is longer than the Springfield ramrod. So they're not interchangeable. So that's why you want to keep it. The next command is prime. Takes the weapon, pulls it back to half cock, which is the safety of the gun. A lot of you guys have heard that term. Maybe your wife has told you that, or you've told that to your wife. Don't go off half cock. That's a Civil War term. It means don't go into battle with your weapon at half cock. It won't fire. They put it over their little cap pouch. Cap pouch has what they call a Mr. Lincoln's high hat, or a cap. Cap is a brass cap filled with a chemical called fulminum mercury. Very, very explosive. They'll take that cap, they'll put it on the corner of the nipple of the gun. When the hammer comes down, it makes the spark, ignites the powder, puts the ball downrange, and they start that process all over again. Of course, because they're facing you, I'm not going to give the next command, which is aim and fire. Shoulder, arm. Shoulder, arms. Place, rest. This weapon can be loaded. The Civil War soldiers were trained to load and fire this weapon 3 aimed shots a minute. Slow. Sharpshooters 9 rounds a minute. Again, well, why didn't they give them Sharps carbines? Dollars and cents. Who's paying for it? You are. About the same price for the ammunition. About a penny a piece for the ammunition. The weapon here, about $13. The Sharps rifle, a little bit more, about $50. So you can see why volunteer, expert. Okay, 3 aim shots a minute. Once it gets hot, the barrel starts, you get powder fouling and lead fouling, so that slows the rate of fire down. Sometimes 1 round a minute, even longer. We've read accounts where soldiers actually took rocks and had to hammer the ramrods down to fire. There's really no effective way to clean the weapon. You can clean the weapon by dumping hot water or water in the barrel, swash it around, rinse it out, but then you need a cap to fire to dry the gun out. You can't waste the cap because you've got 10 rounds of ammunition and only 12 caps. And chances are in a battle you may drop one or not. So what I'm going to do, the first sergeant's going to get them in line, march them out into the field a little bit, and we'll give you the commands to start the fire. Again, when they are out in the field, you won't hear those, commands, load and handle cartridge. The only command that will be given is load. The soldiers know instinctively what they have to do ever. They've been trained constantly over and over.
Attention, company. Shoulder, arms. Without doubling. Right, face. Forward, march.
Because the squad is small, they're marching out in a column of 2. Normally, a company of men is 100 men. Regiment's 1,000. So, can't do that. That line would extend forever. So they bring them down in a column of 4. It shrinks that group down. But you can't fight like that. Front rank, rear rank is the way that you have to fight. So it takes a long time. A lot of times it doesn't happen like you see in the movies, which a lot of things usually don't. What happens is, it takes a while. The rate of fire is very slow. Because of the cost, they took all of the firing out of the hands of the soldiers and they gave it to the commander. The first sergeant stands behind the lines not because he's a coward, he's a file closer. His job is to make sure that that line stays together. It's optimal. As the captain, I stand behind him because when I give a command to fire, however I do that, I want them to be able to judge the engagement of fire. Okay, so they fired a company volley. 10 guys, think of 100 guys, think of 1,000 guys, 1,000 rifles going off all at one time. One problem, 3 minutes to get them loaded again. So if you're a Confederate and you see that fire, you take a knee. Then you get up and you run. Cover a lot of ground in 3 minutes, 30 seconds or so. If you're on horse, even more so. So you have to gauge your rate of fire. The group like this, because it's old Revolutionary War tactics, what would happen is the armies would march together in the grand field, face each other. You'd sling a couple of shots, I'd sling a couple of shots, you try to weaken the line, and then you charge it with the bayonet. Hopefully I've weakened you enough to drive you off the field. But they're still doing that. It's not till after here, after picking shots. They don't do that anymore. What they do is now, when you read after Gettysburg, you hear of units now, what they're doing is they dig in. Because they found out with these weapons and a lot of ammunition, I can hold off a big-sized army. So now what he's done is he's fired the rear rank, but the front rank's loaded. If I'm charging him, I know this. So do I want to wait or not? And he can maintain that rate of fire, front rank, rear rank, for quite a while. But they're always being protected. And of course, if the enemy starts to advance, he just fires the rear rank, stops them, while the front, and then you just continue going on that way.